Good morning, afternoon, evening, friends and family, loved ones. This is your friend Kelly. And I keep telling you guys I don't do reviews. I do tell you about what I like or don't like, which in essence, yes, that's a review. So, yes, review. Okay. On Buerkles Cerakote Crusader. Urban Crusader. Okay, we've had it for a couple days. And I've actually got with Brian, and since, yes, I do have large, verging extra large hands, Brian does have extra large hands, and he's got his big gorilla mitts. So that way you guys can have a little bit of a viewpoint on how we both feel. So what I'll do is I'll go through what Brian said, and I'll also give my viewpoint with having slightly smaller hands and how it does, okay? Now, first off, both of us really do love the blade shape. I think the blade shape is great. The Cerakote is top notch. We both like the bright green, neon green, zombie green, whatever you'd like to call it, speckles. There's enough of it to give it a little bit of pop without being overboard. Still kind of semi-muted, but it is, see, and of course it's through the whole knife. I'm sure if I took off the scales it would be underneath there too. I mean, that's just a given. Now, the blade, great size, shape. For the most part, we really love the blade. The one thing that both of us agree on also is that angle when you're choked up on it. Can you see where it's pushing into? It's not so much me because of where my finger hits, but Brian's, with his fingers being a little bit meatier, it is almost to the point where it's going to cut him. So one thing that I would suggest, I'm going to try and do this to where it's constructive criticism. I'm not trying to rag on him, because everybody will feel different about what we agree and what we don't agree on. I mean, that's part of what it is. But either not having quite so much of a curve on this and doing more straight down, or, hold on a minute, let me see what we got here. It's not exactly the same, but you see where this kind of doesn't, it goes more straight out. I know that'll kind of change the looks of it, but if doing something like that to where when I'm choked up because of the way it's made, my finger is nowhere near that. Plus the fact it's flat up to that point, up to that edge. Then that's something he could do too if he wanted to keep this curve. Maybe don't have it so quite so pointy on the end. Maybe flatten it out a little bit more. It'll just be one of those spots where the last centimeter or so, give or take, is maybe not, should not be sharpened, and kind of still keep that hook just to where it's not quite so pointy. Just, I mean, like I said, I like to do constructive criticism and my thoughts that might make it better. Agree, disagree, you know how that goes. Now, the handle, the grips, Brian says they're not bad. He likes them. Like I said, he hits differently on when he's carrying it. He goes, maybe if you do a little bit more of a knockdown around, of course, and if it was bigger, his big hands, in other words, like the Crusader XL. This is a smaller knife, so with Brian, that's a given. But I will say that because, just in case those of you that watch don't know. But he goes, maybe knocking, he did a good job rounding it so it's not squared off to where it actually cuts in, but maybe a little bit more of a step. Brian actually brought out the Medford. Do you see, like this? Maybe something a little, because see, this is still blocky. It's still a big, thick thing, but it feels more comfortable in the hand, and I think a lot of that has to do with that extra little step, that maybe something like that would work, or do more, since I already have it out here, this is more rounded, has more of a round edge to it, you know, and it's not probably that much different than this, but that little bit extra makes a huge difference. So maybe doing just a little bit more rounding on this, because with me it hits and it's not comfortable. I'm feeling it right through here when I'm grasping it and doing it. It's pressing hard here and it's not comfortable if I'm doing that. Both Brian and I like the jimping. My issue is with me, I have a tendency, my thumb has a tendency to go up here. I would love the thought or possibility of more jimping being up here on the top of the blade, just because of the fact that, yeah, but I kind of pull back. See how my hand is to have my thumb there, whereas I kind of more up. If I had that jimping up top, that would be really, really good. Let's see here, what else? Of course, lanyard, you got to have a lanyard, and actually I'm going to talk with him about it, Buerkles, just to let you know. I think I come across a cool paracord, and I'm going to ask you if you want me to swap it out. I'll use the same thing, the same 3 knots with that bead, 2 knots, and then that, and I'll do my normal knot that I do for stuff like this. Do I have, yeah, we'll say this knot, which is a diamond knot, because that's what I always like to finish it with. I just think it looks cool. I could be wrong, but my opinion again. But keeping the same stuff, but just I got a different paracord that I think would look really good with it. But I want to ask him before I swap it out and make sure that he's okay with it. Then, also, like I said, this is a good size for me. This is a good carry. The 3 fingers, and then the lanyard / the extra little area there I can get. Brian needs a little bit more. Like I said, the XL version of this Brian would be interested in seeing how that fits his hands, because I think that would be more Brian's size, where this is more my size. Let's see here. The sheath. We personally don't normally carry. Let's see, vertical, horizontal, vertical. We don't normally carry vertical. We normally do the horizontal, like scout carry and that type of thing. But he does offer, besides the leather sheath, he does offer kydex on these knives, and you can do vertical or choose vertical or horizontal carry. So if that's something that you normally do, he does give you that option with the kydex to do it. Now, I know a lot of people like leather. I'm okay either way, whether it's the leather or the kydex. 90% of them that we have are kydex. But I would love a nice leather one. I mean, this is my Guardian sheath that came, that's set up for scout carry. For me, that would be awesome. I know this knife is way too big for that, because you can see how much of it's quite a bit bigger, not lengthwise, but widthwise or tallness-wise, height-wise. Yeah, whatever. So that to me would work. Also, just since I'm doing multiple knives with different things, this with the Coke bottling, that's a thought too. This is an Aries Stigma that's Brian's, and this is a thick Beastie Boy, but Aries did like a Coke bottling. I don't know how well that's going to show. That maybe you can figure that out. That, and it's still pretty thick, but that really melts into the hand also. Maybe that's a thought also. I'm just trying to give him different ideas of how to do it. And it's kind of like this, you know, doing that and then doing a sharpening choil. That could work also, but I think ultimately, if he's wanting to kind of keep the aesthetics on this, maybe, like I said, just keeping it more flat here to where it's not as pointy, and doing the sharpening a little bit further out so it kind of keeps the width, may be a deal. So I did the jimping. I made notes so that way I can make sure I try to get everything covered that I want to. Branding. I know a lot of people do not like branding on knives. We don't like that big branding. Microtech. Everybody's seen Microtech and they know how they take up half their blade with it. Now, he has big branding on this. Do you see it? You have to look for it. I'm perfectly fine with this. I think this is great. But if he had a different finish, if he did the branding after the Cerakote instead of doing the Cerakote after, then it might be an issue and be more noticeable. Let me see if I can get this. Can you see BC Crusader? But see, it's kind of big, and you have to angle it just right to see it. I'm fine with that. I don't know if that's an issue for anybody else. And then, of course, he's on this side. He has Urban. I don't know if you can make that out. You can see that there's something there, this is the Urban version. You know, but to me, you have to really look for it to see it. So that does not bother me. Now, if this was like the silver, and you can see it be in your face and see it, that might be a different story. But with the Cerakote over top of that, I think that works really well. He's got it on there. You can see it at the right angle, but it's not in your face. This is awesome. Love that. Love that. Me and Brian both love the fact that he made a bead of the material that his handles are to match that. That's awesome. I wish more makers would do that. I know it's an extra step. I know it's extra work, and a lot of people don't like to have all that extra work. And he did it instead of it just being completely round. It is got angles on it, so that's cool too. Instead of just being technically a generic. Well, I don't really have a generic one, but you know, a round bead. I've got a couple here that I was debating on putting on stuff, so that's awesome. Of course, we actually have this bead too. Brian has one on, I forget what knife it is that he has his on, but this is an awesome bead, and it matches real well with the Crusader theme. So great choices. That's an extra little step and a little extra addition that, you know, a lot of the different knife makers don't do. They may put a lanyard on it, just a black lanyard, which is standard. Why? They're not people that do a lot of paracord otherwise. They're not like me that do 50 million different things with paracord and have 5,000 different kinds. I don't think I have literally that many different patterns, but I do have a lot. But that's something, like I said, I'm going to get with him and see if he minds. And I've got 3 different paracords here, but I know which one I want to use, and I'm leaning towards that. But I'm going to give him the choice if he even wants me to touch it. He may not want me to do it, but just a thought. Other than that, I mean, I really like the knife. A few little tweaks and changes, a little bit more rounding on the handle, the pointiness right here, additional jimping. Like I said, my thumb has a tendency to want to go on top. That's where I want to go, is right here. I do sometimes will catch a little bit of my thumb here with that jimping. That works, but I still would love, and with the Cerakote on there, it isn't super slick, but it's still slidey. But some additional jimping along the top right there, I think would be awesome. And other than that, like I said, a few tweaks. It's nothing major, but I think altogether that might make a huge difference to how this feels in hand and how people like it and grip. Like I said, I like the size of it. I love the size of it. It's right there. With the paracord being an EDC carry and having the Kydex and being able to scout carry it, that would be sweet. I can honestly tell you that. I love the green speckle. And you know me, I like purple, but the neon green, here, you know, the zombie green, blood splatter type things. And I've got my purple, but I even got this. I still haven't unboxed it. I have that version to go with the knife. You know, I'd love to be able to get the other lights to go with the zombified deal, but I got the big purple select collection that they had, and I didn't want to spend the money on the green one also. I just got that combo. But I really do like this. I think that's awesome. Now, I don't know if it would be too much, but if they had the scales with the green instead of the kind of off-white, grayish look to it, I don't know if that would be too much green, because this does kind of keep it muted where it's not in your face. Until I see it on it, that would be the big thing. But anyway, my thoughts, Brian's thoughts, added his in there, so maybe you can see our two different ideas. I mean, for the most part, me and Brian did agree. He's okay more with the way the handle's done. It's just a little bit more knockdown, where I would like a little bit more aggressive knockdown. But that's one of the things, and he was okay with the way this was done here, where I think the extra jimping would be better. You know, like I said, there's a few differences that we had, but all in all, I really do like this knife, and it would be one that I would definitely be interested in purchasing in the future. I don't know, what about you guys? What do you think? Anyway, thank you for watching me ramble. This thing's probably pushing 20 minutes now, so I'll shut up as it is. You guys have a wonderful day. Many hugs, many kisses, and much love. Your friend Kelly. Bye-bye.